The other big story we're watching for you, of course, is coming out of KwaZulu-Natal. The police commissioner, I beg your pardon, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi there, expressing concern over the use of police uniforms to commit some crimes. And that follows a shootout in Lindelani, that's in Durban yesterday, where suspects were dressed in police uniform and were involved in a confrontation with officers. That incident resulted in 3 fatalities, including an on-duty police sergeant from Kwa-Mashu Police Station. 3 suspects, we're told, are still on the run. They are linked to an earlier robbery in Richmond Farm. Let's get you a sense of what else we know. Bring in the spokesperson for police in the province, Netshiunda, who joins us now via our video link. And great to have you on the program, sir. Thanks as always for making time. And it's becoming an all too familiar sight, these shootings in KwaZulu-Natal. Perhaps take us through this latest development and how things unfolded in Lindelani.
Thank you and good morning. What happened is that we were following up on a business robbery which happened in Richmond on Sunday morning. Then we were led to a house in Lindelani where the suspects were hiding. And when we arrived as police, there was a shootout as suspects left the house. There were 6 in number. 2 were shot and killed at the scene, and the others left. One of them, who was a police officer, was traced to another informal settlement in KwaPindangan, where he was shot and wounded during a shootout with police. Then what we found that this morning there was another suspect, the 4th one, who's been arrested, but the authorities will speak to it as the day unfolds.
Right. And of course, what stands out in this particular case is that it seems some of these criminals, or suspected criminals, because they haven't been tried yet, were using police uniform. I mean, how prevalent is something like this?
We have had incidents where people were robbed with people masquerading as police officers. But in this case, there were real police officers with a real police uniform. Because, like you rightly said, one of those who were fatally wounded was a sergeant who was working at Kwa-Mashu Police Station, who was on duty at night shift on Saturday night. Then instead of going home to rest, he joined his gang for an armed robbery. It is concerning that we've got police officers who are working with criminals. So that defeats the purpose that maybe some of the operations we plan are known by criminals before we can execute them, simply because they've got their friends within the force.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you asking yourself all kinds of questions around how crime continues unabated in KwaZulu-Natal despite your own efforts. This must kind of broaden how you approach these incidents, at the very least.
It is a learning curve that we need to do some sort of introspection within, and also know those rogue elements and root them out. Because if it's happening that a police officer can give people his uniform and state-issued firearm, because one of the suspects was found shooting police with a police-issued firearm. Wearing a police cap, it's very concerning, and it talks to us as the police that let's look amongst each other and identify those suspicious activities among ourselves, then root out all rogue elements if you want to win the fight against crime.
And how do you start doing something like that, Mr. Netshiunda? I mean, I hear you, and I think in principle most people will accept your explanation. But practically speaking, how do you begin to root out a threat which you initially thought was external, but may very well have tentacles internally?
We have got means and ways to identify these people. It's not always effective because in some instance, it's a police officer who's at the station. You will expect that maybe a police officer will only share information on operations, not being actively involved in the crime itself. Because most of the time, we'll find that what we plan has been shared outside. And we have in the past arrested cops for that because we have good means that link us to those people. But as for officers using their spare time or their rest days to commit crimes, is something that we think is quite stupid for the cop to do that. But it will tell us that it's not only him who's doing this, there could be others as well. And the uniform itself, most of the time, will think that it has been stolen or fake police uniform. But in this instance, it was the reality.
I suppose you've answered the question in some ways, and hopefully you're still there, Robert Netshiunda. I see your image is frozen. But I'm sure part of what you're considering is that this is a whole lot more organized, the crimes that are being committed, than initially thought. I certainly get the sense from where I'm standing that a whole lot of thought goes into this. And in fact, we might be very well dealing with some kind of criminal network than these sporadic elements of crime that we're seeing, over the past couple of weeks.
Yes, we also believe that we are dealing with something bigger than what it is or than what it appears to be now. And as the police, it's our duty to ensure that if police officers are involved in this kind of crimes, we root them out. Even the Police Commissioner was on record saying that we are going to dig deeper as the police to ensure that every commander at every station is well aware of their members and all the activities that they could be up to when they are off duty. We are not going to go to a witch hunt, but we need to apply lawful means to ensure that our members are upright at all times.
All right, Robert Netshiunda, we'll leave it there for now. Thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. Robert Netshiunda is a KZN Police spokesperson. It's emerged, of course, that amongst those fatally wounded in a shootout in the province was, in fact, an on-duty officer, raising all manner of questions around the extent to which officers themselves may very well be involved in the proliferation of crime in places like KZN. We'll continue to watch that story very closely. More of the day's top developments in a moment.